Kom.
A powerful storm struck Alicante, Spain on Monday, leaving streets submerged, homes damaged and thousands of residents grappled with the aftermath. People say the sudden event was triggered by the collision of warm Mediterranean air and a cold front from the northern Europe, causing intense rainfall, hail and strong winds across the Costa Blanca region. Within the minutes, major streets like Explanada, the España and Avenida Maisonnave turned into Russian rivers. Cars were stranded, traffic came to a standstill and emergency services were flooded with the calls. The rain came down so fast we had time to reach, said Carlos Martínez, a local shop owner. Water rose to waist level in some areas and a hailstorm shattered with the windows. Several neighborhoods, particularly in low-lying areas such as Benalúa and El Barrio, reported a flash flood and forced residents to evacuate homes. Emergency crews rescued people trapped in the vehicles and cleaned up fallen trees and blocked key roads. Authorities confirmed minor injuries but proceeded to rapid response on the first responders.
Porca troia!
The storm also wreaked havoc on the Alicante's infrastructure. Metro and bus service were temporarily suspended, and power outage affected thousands of homes. The strong storm gusts reaching 18 km/h damaged rooftops and billboards, where hail destroyed crops in the agriculture zone. Entire fields of vegetables and citrus have been ruined in minutes, reports Martin Lopez, local farmer. Social media quickly filled the dramatic footage, hail bouncing on the historic building, flooded streets reflecting online, and the residents helped neighborhood made through the rising water. It looked like a scene from the disaster movie and was used both online. Experts warn that such extreme weather events are becoming more frequent due to climate change as a warning, sea, fuel instability on the atmosphere, and Julia Morris, a Spanish climatologist, said events like these are not longer rare. Mediterranean cities are increasingly vulnerable to sudden violent storm. Down streets were littered the debris and broken branches, with the clean-up crews working to restore normally. Residents returned to assess the damage, halting that Alicante historic charm and have been temporarily overtaken by nature fury. A series of powerful storms has battered Europe, leaving a trail of destruction from Italy and France to Germany and Poland. Meteorologists describe the event as a rare coverage down the humid air from the Mediterranean and cold Arctic front, producing torrential rain, strong winds and hail that has disrupted cities' transport and daily life. In the Italy region, including Lombardy, Emilia-Romagna and Lazio, forced flash flooding and hailstorms up to golf ball size. Roads were submerged, cars trapped in the historic streets like Pisa Veneta in Rome turned into rivers of ice. It was terrified. Hail submerged windows and water rose within minutes, said Marco Rossi, a local resident's emergency crews rescued dozens of stranded motorists. Germany saw similar havoc, particularly in Bavaria, where strong winds uprooted trees and damaged homes. Public transport was paralyzed, and power outage affected thousands. We are not seeing a storm of this intense for a year, said meteorologist Anna Weber. Red line and highways were temporarily closed as a crew worked overnight to clear debris. Across France, particularly in the Front Alps region, farmers reported catastrophic damage in vineyards and orange. Entire crews destroyed in a minute, said Windmark Jean-Paul Leroux. Insurance companies explained claims to exceeded millions of euros. In Poland and Austria, hailstones and a flood disrupted lives and damaged infrastructure. Lightning strikes were frequent and flood waters swept through the urban area, prompted local authorities to issue warning and evacuation. Experts attributed the severity of this storm of climate change not to warning seas, increasing atmospheric instability and energy-full more extreme weather events. European weather is becoming less predictable and more dangerous, and with Elena Moretti, climate scientist, authorities across the continent are asking damage to coordinated cleanup efforts. Streets littered with debris, shattered glass and fallen trees illustrated the state of storm fury. Residents are reminded to extra cautions, and meteorologists predict more unstable weather in the coming weeks.
Rapaziada, tornado. É tornado, louco. Minha Nossa Senhora, tá voando tudo as teias. Tá feio.
A series of violent storms has swept across Europe, leaving the cities of rural areas alike struggling with the flooding, uprooted trees and properly damaged. From Italy and France and Germany and Poland, meteorologists describe the phenomenon as an extreme weather outbreak, filling the warm Mediterranean air cooling the cold northern currents. In Rome, Italy, streets were inundated as a hailstone the size of a golf ball, pounding cars and rooftops. It was surreal in minutes. Our wet piazza looked like frozen rivers, said Luca Ferri, a local spokeskeeper. Emergency services rescued dozens of stranded motorists while the drainage system was overwhelmed by the torrential rainfall. Northern Italy, including Lombardy and Veneto, experienced severe agricultural losses. Vineyards and orange were shredded by the hailstone, leaving farmers facing millions in the beach. The cutters and gone in instant were Federico Bianchi and Windmark's Verona. In Germany, particularly in Bavaria, powerful gas uprooted trees and damaged vehicles. Rail and road transport were disrupted, 11 communities stranded. Local authorities reported hundreds of emergency calls to flash flood spread through the urban streets, meteorologist Anna Weber said. This supercell storm released unrest energy in one short time, making it extremely destructive. France, especially a raw Alps and Provence region, saw heavy rainfall caused rivers to overflow and streets to flood. Residents were evacuated in low-lying areas and insurance company warned to significant losses to homes and crops. Further east, Poland and Austria faced similar chaos and hailstones to lightning disrupting fields and damaged infrastructure. Lightning strikes were frequent and flash floods swept through the town, leaving roads impossible. Scientists warned that the storm will reflect a growing trend like climate change. Dr. Elena Moretti, a European climate expert, said, rising temperatures increasing atmospheric instability. The warm, humid air filling the cold front produced storm in unprecedented intensity. The authority continued cleaning up to recovery operations. The scale of destruction is becoming clearer. Streets littered with the debris, fallen trees and damaged vehicles illustrated Europe's vulnerability to increasing violent weather patterns. Residents are urged to remain vigilant as the metropolis forecasts more extensive conditions in the coming days.
Wow.
"We are dealing with a widespread roofs damaging power outage," said Bavarian Fire Chief Markus Keller, who described the situation as apocalyptic. In southern France, vineyard and orange severely damaged, with some region reported a total loss of crops. Farmers in province of Rhône-Alpes region experienced a disaster after huge hailstones destroyed their vineyards. "The storm took everything," lamented winemaker Paul Gerard. "The harvest we have been waiting for all year is gone." In Central and Eastern Europe, hailstorm intensified. In Poland, the city of Krakow was hit by torrential rain, with freezing rain that flooded streets and damaged cars. In Austria, large hailstones caused flights delays and forced airports the close temperatures. Meteorologists attributed this storm weather is unstable atmospheric layers, which are intensified due to global warming. Europe is now experiencing for more connective storms, phenomena accompanied by supercell lightning and giant hailstones, explained Dr. Petra Long in European Meteorological Observatory. "This is not a longer rarity, is becoming part of new normal." Authorities across the continent continue to assess the damage, warning the future determination is weather conditions. While cleanup crews work to repair the damage caused by the ice storm, many residents describe the surreal scene. Summer streets transformed into winter landscape in a matter of minutes. A sudden and severe hailstorm swept across southern Poland, leaving scene of destruction in its wake and prompted urgent calls to help. The storm, which struck on a Monday evening, battered town and villages with a hailstone the size of walnuts, smashing windows, damaged cars and distorted crops in the middle of the harvest season. Farmers in the Motopolska and Podkarpacia region reported catastrophic losses. "In the 10 minutes, everything he had worked in the year was destroyed," said Poret Novak, a farmer from the near Tarnow. "The fields looked as someone had chopped them up with the knives." Agriculture representative estimated hundreds of hectares of corn, potatoes and orange have been destroyed, with the could lead higher food prices in the coming month. Residents described chaos, and the hail-pounded roofs and blanket drain caused sudden flooding in the city streets. Emergency service responded to hundreds of calls, and a fire crews worked through the night and cleared debris and secured damaged homes. Fortunately, no deaths were reported, although several people suffered minor injuries from the broken glass. Local authorities are assessing the damage with estimated to be tens of millions of euros. The Polish Meteorological Institute was warned for the Celtic hope more storms in the coming days are unstable weather continued to prevail in Central Europe. Climatologists note in the frequency of such extreme weather events increasing. Hailstorm of this intensify used to be a rare phenomenon, but climate change is affecting weather conditions across the continent, said Dr. Marta Zelinska and the climatologist of University of Warsaw. "For many, recovery will be long and difficult. We will build everything, but it seems that nature is tasting other more year," said resident Anna Kowalska, standing near the destroyed greenhouse.
Mira los bomberos, ya vienen, ya vienen.
Istanbul was hit by a sudden and severe hailstorm that turned a bustling metropolis into a scene of chaos and destruction. The storm, which lasted less than an hour, brought hailstones the size of a golf ball, smashed windows, damaged cars and injured dozens of people who were outdoors. The city streets were quickly covered with a white layer of hail, with a blockade and severe and causing sudden flooding. Major highways, including Bosphorus Bridge, were paralyzing and cars were unable to drive through the city's sewers. Public transport were severely disrupted. Tram lines were blocked and ferry service across the strait were suspended. Istanbul International Airport also reported delays after runways were brilliantly covered in hail. Emergency service responded there hundreds of calls, rescuing people trapped in their cars and clearing collapsing owners and a heat collapsing under the weight of hail. Hospitals treated dozens of people and courts and a heat injuries, and authority confirmed at least 2 deaths related to this storm. Residents described scenes of panic. It felt like the sky was falling. The noise of hail falling on the roof was different. In a matter of minutes, our streets looked like a had snowed, said Ice Demir, a shop owner in Cadio. Video posted online showed buses stuck knee-deep in the water and trees blocked by the force of the storm. Agriculture in the surrounding Marmara region suffered significant damage. Vineyard and orchard were damaged, threatening in the harvest and local livelihood. Insurance companies are already estimated the damage of tens of millions of euros. Farmers in Lower Saxony reported devastation, losers in their crops and greenhouses, and about destroyed. Insurance experts warned that the damage could be cost millions, placing an additional body and economy elderly and person. Germany Chancellor Olaf Scholz expressed condolences of the family to the victims and promised swift federal aid. "We stand together in the face of this catastrophe," he said, adding the climate adaptation must become a national priority. Meteorologists warned the storm and the magnitude may become more frequent as a warning season to call unstoppable weather across North Europe. At a time, rescue operations continue in flooded town in a mountains valley, with the soldiers, firefighters and volunteers working side by side. For many Germans, in storm will be remembered not only the force but a stark reminder of the growing risk of climate change. The Spanish Meteorological Service has declared a red alert for the eastern parts of the Valencia region due to heavy rain. Thursday, a repeat of the flooding that killed 235 people in the area last October. Spanish National Meteorological Service warned of extreme danger and a very difficult situation in Tarragona, Castellón and Valencia on a Sunday and Monday. On this warning was echoed Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez. Citing of meteorological warning, Sánchez urged citizens to follow the instruction of the emergency service to all times. Local official announced that school and college, libraries and parks, as well as public space including gardens, markets and cemeteries would be closed in the Valencia on a Monday. Overnight rains caused local flooding and overflowing of Arroyo Aldea, one of the town hardest hit by October 2024 flooded that killed more than 213 people. No casualties have been reported. On a Sunday afternoon, residents of the city received a red weather alert on this phone. The flooding caused by heavy rains in October last year were exacerbated by the effect of climate change. As a warning atmosphere holds more water, climate change increasing the risk and intensity of the flood from extreme rainfall. Local residents triggered a series of protests against for the believed this mismanagement of last year's crisis calamity. The regional offices did not warn in the time, despite the fact that Meteorological Service had issued warning. Communities across Europe are in shock after a series of rare and powerful tornadoes swept through parts of Germany, France and Czech Republic, leaving widespread destruction in their wake. authorities have confirmed numerous casualties and more than 200 injured, with the homes destroyed, cars overturned and power lines down it. Western Germany was the hardest hit, with a powerful wind which swept throughout the residential area, poured down, injured dozens of people and damaged hundreds of buildings. Roofs were turned off, trees were uprooted and debris was scattered across highways. It was like a faint rain rushing throughout the city, said Catherine Miller, who took shelter in a basement with their family. In northern France, a tornado stuck near Calais overturned trucks on the A18 motorway and forcing several paths to close. Residents are decided chaos in the hail, lightning and stones wind battered cities already drenched in the heavy rain. The Czech Republic, still resilient from the devastation tornado in 2021, reported another severe storm in southern Bavaria, where homes and farms again destroyed it. Emergency service rushed to help stranded residents and volunteers working through the night to clear debris from narrow rural streets. Meteorologists say the tornadoes formed after the mass of hot Mediterranean air collided with a cold front moving from the Arctic, creating unstable conditions ideal to supercell storms. Experts warn that the climate change could make Europe more vulnerable to such rare but devastating events. Tornadoes were once considered almost impossible here, explained climatologist Dr. Helena Novak. Now they are becoming a dangerous new reality. The infrastructure of the three countries suffered serious damage. Rail service was suspended, tens of thousands of people were left without power due to power outage, and schools were closed to several regions. Insurance companies estimate the damage in the hundreds of millions of euros. Despite the devastation, there are stories of resilience. Neighbors farmed human change of cleared debris, firefighters rescued trapped families, and the shelters opened their doors to lose their homes. As Europe begins the long process of recovery, the tornado several stuck reminded that extreme weather is no longer confined to remote regions. It now processes to grow through it to hit to the continent. Schools were ordered to close. Authority urged residents to stay indoors. Witnesses described a terrifying scenes. It was like a river rushing down by our streets. Cars were flooding and shops' windows collapsing in a matter of minutes, said Carlos Martínez, a shop owner in central Valencia. Farmers in the surrounding area reported catastrophic losses with the citrus grove and the rice fields. Devastation of that flood. Local authorities have declared a state of emergency, and the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez was pledged immediate assistance. The government stand with Valencia will rebuild and support all families affected. Experts warn that climate change is intensifying. Extreme weather events in the Mediterranean were warning increasing the risk in torrential rain and flash floods in Valencia. The storm has left a trail of destruction and urged questions about preparedness of the storm to come. A powerful storm swept across Europe, leaving a trail of destruction. Storm Spain to Germany, across and the offshore. It is one of the most destructive weather events of the continent in the last decade. In France, coastal towns in Brittany and Normandy were hit by winds up to 115 km/h, which tore roofs, houses, and forced ferry service to be cancelled. In Paris, sudden flooding inundated roofs and led to closure to some section of the metro. It felt like the city was flooded in a matter of minutes, said passenger Julien Maru when they through waist-deep water. Southern Germany, including Bavaria, reported hailstones the size of a golf ball that smashed car windows and damaged crops. Authorities confirmed several injured, and insurance companies warned that damage in agriculture could run into tens of millions of euros. Spain and Italy also experienced chaos. The streets of Valencia turned into rivers after 100 millimeters of rainfall into 2 hours. In Sicily, passed a strong gust of winds and left thousands of people without electricity. The storm raged all night, recalled Sicilian resident Lucia Romano. We couldn't sleep, afraid that the roof might collapse. A series of powerful hailstorms swept across Europe, causing chaos, destruction and dramatic scenes from Italy to Germany, France and Croatia. The storm intensified the collision of the most Mediterranean air and the cold front moving from the north brought the Gauss-sized hailstones. Strong winds and torrential rain disrupted transport, agriculture and daily life in several countries. In northern Italy, the region in Lombardy and Emilia-Romagna were worst affected. A road turned wide and a hailstorm blackened crosses in a minute, smashed car wide shift and destroyed vineyard and crops. It sounded like a shot of the roof, say Marco Rossi, a resident of Bologna, describing the definite noise of a cave pound in its house. Meanwhile, in southern Germany, emergency service responded to hundreds of calls when powerful supercell storm hit Bavaria. Roofs were damaged, trees were uprooted and train service were temporarily suspended. In Munich, trams and buses were suspended after the ice blocked tracks. We haven't seen such large hailstones in many years, said meteorologist Anna Weber of the German Meteorological Service. In France of the storm front caused chaos in a Rhode Alps region where dramatic footage showed hail covering fields like snow. Saragossa, the capital of Spain, Aragon region, was hit by catastrophic flooding after continuous rainfall caused the Ebro River in these tributaries and burst their banks. According to the official sources, more than 118 millimeters of rainfall in 36-hour, a record for the last decade. Entire neighborhoods along the river were flooded, forcing hundreds of people to evacuate, and rescue teams used boats to reach residents who were trapped. Schools and businesses remained closed, and authorities converted the sports, hail into temporary shelters for the families left homeless. At least 3 people were confirmed dead, and dozens of injured in the traffic incidents and building collapsing related for the floods. In the city center, cars floated along flooded boulevards, and underground parking left and the sideway station were filled in water in a matter of minutes. Rail service in Aragon was suspended, and a highway connecting Saragossa, Madrid, and Barcelona were closed after landslides buried sectors on the road. Local residents described the sense of apocalypse. In just half an hour, water poured into the streets like a river. We lost everything in the first floor, said Maria Lopez, whose family home in the Hector districts was flooded. Farmers across Aragon have also suffered devastation. Losers. Flooded wheat fields, vineyards and livestock found territory in month and harvest in large. The economic damage is already estimated of tens of millions of euros. Insurance companies are prepared for the wave of insurance claims. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has promised immediate aid and emergency support, stressing that the community will be left without help. A powerful storm system was battered much of Europe, leaving a trail of destruction, transport, chaos and a human tragedy in this way. The storm, which brought hurricane-force wind, torrential rain and heavy snowfall in high areas, has affected countries such as France, Germany, Poland, Austria and Balkans. In a Paris, wind knocked down trees and damaged roofs, while trains and flights were delayed. In Bavaria, Germany, hail and strong gas battered small town, breaking windows and damaged vehicles. The Netherlands reported severe coastal flooding as waves to 6-meter high hit decks and pods. Authorities confirmed at least a dozen fatalities across the continent, including drivers caught in the flash flooding and persistent stuck by fallen debris. Hundreds of thousands of homes were left without power overnight, and emergency service received thousands of calls. Witnesses described terrified conditions. The roof of our town was lifted up 10 feet away in the where paper said Nowak in the South Poland. In Austria, sky reports were cut off by avalanches, trapped tourists and the staff. southern Germany has been hit by relating after a violent hailstorm battered Bavaria, shattered with windows, damaged rooftops, and leaving residents tainted by the scale of destruction. The storm swept across the region with little warning, unleashing hailstones the large of tennis balls. Streets in Munich, Augsburg, and surrounding towns were carpeted in ice, with the cars were left dented with white shifts smashed. It was like gunfire from the sky, said Klaus Richter, a resident of Augsburg. A hospital treated dozens of people to their cars burst and hit injuries. Children and elderly were most affected, with the emergency responded rushing to provide shelter in a school and a sports hall in the rural area. The storm was equally devastated. Groups of Borsay, maize, and a vineyard across Bavaria were pumped, with the farmers reported losses that could total tens of millions of euros. Transport ground to the Kiel, trains were delayed, the stock were blocked, fallen branches that the breeze were part of a Munich airport were disrupted due to damaged aircraft and poor visibility. Highway torn hazards with the multiple accidents caused the slippery and ice-covered roads. Tourists were also cut off in the chaos. Visitors to Neuschwanstein Castle and Bavaria, farmers, Alpine village, showed a dramatic image for the hail building up for the snowdrifts, with local accompanying the summer storm to the winter blizzards. Meteorologists explained that the hailstorm was triggered by unstoppable air masses, colliding the southern Germany, intensified by record summer heat. Climate experts warn the extreme hail events are becoming more frequent across the Europe, pressing homes, agriculture, and infrastructure under increasing threat. A violent storm has battered Germany, causing strong winds, torrential rain, and widespread disruption north from the North Sea to Bavaria. The system, one of the worst intense of the season, was uprooted, trees torn off roofs, and left hundreds of thousands of people without power. In Hamburg and Bremen, storm surge flooded riverside neighborhoods, and emergency crews rushed to build buried as the Elbe River overflowed. In Berlin, fallen trees blocked major roads in the tram lines, forcing communities to find alternative roads. Munich International Airports reported more than 100 cancelled flights, while trains in Bavaria and Saxony were halted due to the debris in tracks. Authorities confirmed multiple fatalities, including driver crushed by the fallen trees and the rescue workers swept away by the floodwaters. Dozens of people were injured by many debris flying through the city center. Hospital reported an increase in emergency admissions overnight. Residents described the storm as apocalyptic. The wind sounded like a freight train outside my window. We were building in the shaking, said Anne Miller, a resident of Berlin. Central Europe was not less affected. In Switzerland and Austria, transport was paralyzed. Trains were stopped due to landslides and flights were cancelled in Zurich and Vienna. In Poland, emergency services received hundreds of calls and trees blocked major highways and power lines fell. Meteorologists explained the storm straight the collision to the warm Mediterranean air with a cold Arctic front, which according to one expert created perfect conditions to the storm. Climatologist Marcus Keller warned such extreme weather no longer a rarity. They are becoming a new norm. At least 20 people have been reported dead and hundreds injured across Europe. Tens of thousands of people remain without electricity. European leaders have promised to provide aid and fund to recovery, but it could take weeks to rebuild. For many, this night of destruction will be forever etched to their memories. As one of the Munich residents said, Europe has seen storms before, but never have so much countries have been hit so hard at the same time. Farmers estimated the dramatic at $1 million euros, especially in vineyards that produced world-famous wines. It's devastating, said Jean-Paul Lefroy, a winemaker near Lyon. In just 10 minutes, the works in the entire season was destroyed. Further east in Croatia and Slovenia, hailstones the size of eggs smashed windows and stripped streets bare. Emergency service worked through the night and cleared debris to restore power to affected areas. Local authority described the damage as serious and extensive. Meteorologists across Europe are linking the surge and severe hailstorm to rising temperature and atmospheric instability. The Mediterranean is warming faster than the global average, warning climatologist Dr. Elena Moretti. This creates ideal conditions to explosive storm to formation of giant hailstorm. The European Severe Laboratory reported that more than 400 hail-related incidents were recorded in 34 hours, of extremely high number of October. Experts warn that such events once considered rare and now becoming more common due to the effects of climate change. Cleanup efforts are underway across the continent, and insurance companies are assessing the extent of the damage. From broken skylets in Rome and flooded streets in Munich and storage fury that what yet another stark reminder that Europe weather is becoming more unpredictable and dangerous than ever before. A powerful Atlantic storm swept across much of Europe, bringing hurricane-force winds, torrential rain, and chaos in several countries, from the Atlantic coast of France and inland cities in Germany. Millions of people forced transport disruption, and emergency service worked at full capacity. In France, guests exceeded 115 km/h, knocked down trees, cut power to more than 400,000 homes, and forced several airports to close. It sounded like a fire train was passing through our streets, said Carlos Martínez, residents of Brittany, where roads had blocked overnight. Southern Germany was hit by severe flooding when rivers burst their banks. In Bavaria, rescue evacuated dozens of residents by boat after the local dam threatened to overflow. "We never seen the water rise too fast," explained it firefighters Karl Neumann. Rail service in the region remains severely disrupted. In the Netherlands, authority temporarily closed its section to famous Afdijk dam due to fear and a coastal wave. Meanwhile, Poland and Czech Republic reported widespread hailstorm that severely damaged cars and crops. A powerful wave of hailstorm has battered several parts of Europe, leaving communities struggled with the damage, disruption and shock. The severe weather struck countries including Italy, France, Germany and Switzerland, where a hailstorm the size of a golf ball in the same areas in Villaggio fell in devastation force. In northern Italy, vineyards in Lombardy and Veneto were shattered, with the farmers reported crops losses of up to 18%. "It's heartbreaking," said vineyard Gula Benager, surrounding the roof of destroyed vines. A whole year work lost in 15 minutes. France also suffered widespread chaos. In Lyon and Dijon, streets turned white into hail blanket, cars and blocked drains, caused sudden flash floods. Motorways were brought in standstill, and authority reported dozens of incidents, and drivers struggled with the ice conditions. In southern Germany, roofs were smashed and a window shattered, particularly in Bavaria, where emergency crews responded to thousands of calls within hours.